Right. So if you remember in the last lesson I did with you, we did something called procedures. Do you remember that? Yeah. So if I wanted to create a procedure for something, say I wanted to print out a menu, I could call it by using the word def, and that's define function. And I'm just going to call it my menu. All right. And that's the function made. Now, if I wanted to put something in that menu, I might do like a line of hashtags. I might then go print hashtag, just create a random interface. Okay. These tooltips are getting annoying that they've added into Replit, but we'll just continue on. All right. Let's go for option one. So we're going to say hashtag one play game. All right. Print. Let's go print. And we're going to do another one, hashtag two exit game. Now, if you remember, actually, maybe we'll do another line to close it off. Let's do this line. Remember, save yourselves time if you can. You don't always need to just type things out. You can copy and paste them. It's okay. All right. Now, remember, to call on a function, all you need to do is type in its name. So this is my random interface here, and you'll notice it's not running. So just as a recap from the lesson, in case you may have missed something, if I want to use a function, or in this case, it's a procedure, we're going to say my menu, and then that will run that. Okay? So if I want to call on something, I must use the name that I created it with. So whatever name I gave after define is what I use to call it. Now, if you remember, all right, with procedures, the other thing that we can do, all right, is we can pass in parameters. So I'm going to remove this, and we're going to create a procedure for adding numbers. Adding, okay, and we're going to pass in, watch down here, we're going to say, we're going to go adding, and I'm going to put two numbers in there, 2 and 3. These are called parameters. So you can actually, when you call on your procedure, you can pass in parameters into it. The reason why, watch, I'm going to say number 1 and number 2. What I can do is I can say total equals number 1 plus number 2. Then I can print, helps if it goes on the next line, I can print out print total. So whenever I run this procedure, it outputs it. Am I making a bit of sense there? I hope so. Yeah? Now, the thing I'm going to teach you about today is called a function. All right? They look the same on the surface, but they're slightly different. And I'll show you why. So I've got adding here. All right? Now, what I can do is you can almost, that whole section of code, you can turn into a variable by writing one line. Watch. Return total. Now, watch what happens when I run this now. Nothing. What it's done is by putting the return, you've turned it into a function, and that means that this whole function is equal to what you return. Does that make sense? So if you had a container, all right, like a variable, I can now put score equals, now watch. Okay, so what I've done is when I pass in my variables into that function, the result is returned. Whatever's returned at that point is stored in score. Now this is really cool because watch, we're going to do another function now. All right. I'm going to call it def age, and we're going to put in student age. Okay. Watch. If age is greater than or equal to 18, then return. All right. And we're going to say into movie. All right. Else return not allowed into movie. So this is like a horror movie. Okay. So if the age is has anyone spotted an error? Yes, I have student age. Okay. So whatever was passed in here must be used here. Now, can you see how I've got two different returns? So watch, I've now created a function that checks on somebody's age, all right? And I'm going to say print, all right, age, and let's put in 17. Watch what happens. If I change it to 18. So you can basically return a number of different values, but that's why functions are very useful. You're able to have lots of different outcomes and return different values. Instead of doing lots of print statements, you can actually allocate it something. So I could have even here said is student allowed equals age. In fact, let's get the student age. Let's do it slightly differently. We're going to say, all right, my age equals input. What is your age? My age equals int my age. Remember, sometimes we need to use casting, so that's a little bit of a reminder there. Now, what I'm going to do is run, I'm going to say print, and it's called age, and I'm going to pass my age into it. So it's going to ask me my age, and I'm going to say 37, allowed into movie. All right. You may want to put it in a loop because we have learned about loops thus far. But that is what we call a function. All right. Now, what you are going to do today is you are going to try out some functions. I'm going to write down one more for you, which is def calc double. I'm going to pass in the amount. And I'm going to say amount equals 2 times amount. Return amount. I'm going to do one more. Okay, let's move down. And I'm going to say question equals 120. Answer equals calc double. I'm passing in this variable. And I'm going to say print double of question is, comma, and we're going to say answer, because answer runs that. Let's run it. So it should do my initial thing, which is what is your age? 37. And then it says I'm allowed into movie. And then whatever value I put in there, it doubles it by passing that variable into that function. Yes.
So could you put question equals input, and then
I could use a plus symbol there and convert it into. Oh, you're saying could I do an input? Yes, if I wanted to, I could do an input and then cast it and change it back into a string. Yeah, so that I can join it together. All right. Now, what we're going to do today is you're going to try and create some functions yourself. And that is a brief introduction. So the difference between a procedure that you did in your previous lesson is procedures do not return a value, whereas functions do. All right. So procedures do not return a value. Functions do. All right. So I'm going to stop that. I will upload that video so that you can watch that back.